On November 11, 2009, 39-year-old Randall Moore kidnapped his estranged wife, 30-year-old TereseAnn Moore, from a Target parking lot despite a no-contact order she had against him. He then took her to his apartment where he barricaded both of them inside and sexually assaulted TereseAnn. During the assault, TereseAnn pleaded for her life, but Randall laughed and shot her in the face with a 12-gauge shotgun loaded with deer slugs. TereseAnn was killed as a result of the attack. While attempting to apprehend Randall, Des Moines police officer Todd Rowland was shot and almost killed. Randall Moore was taken into custody and charged with first-degree murder, first-degree kidnapping, first-degree sexual assault, and attempted murder of a police officer. The prosecutors described him as a cold-blooded killer, highlighting his abusive behavior and stalking of TereseAnn prior to the kidnapping. Randall was convicted on all charges and showed no remorse during the trial. He stated that his reasons for doing what he did was because TereseAnn wouldn't let him see their child, and said he hoped to see more fathers take a stand against mothers who keep them away from their children. The judge sentenced Randall Moore to 3 life sentences for the crimes against TereseAnn Lynch and 25 years for shooting Officer Rowland. On November 28, 2020, 26-year-old Instagram personality Alexis Sharkey was found dead near some bushes on Red Hall Lane in Houston, Texas by a sanitation worker. She was completely naked, and the person who found her reported that she appeared to have been delicately placed in the brush beside the road. Alexis's autopsy revealed she died by strangulation. Her last known communication was at 6:30 p.m. on November 27th when she sent an Instagram message to a friend. Alexis reportedly told that person she was at her apartment watching movies. Her body was discovered the following morning a few miles from her apartment complex. Alexis's 49-year-old husband, Thomas Sharkey, was the last person to see her alive and left Texas 2 weeks after the murder. After many attempts by police to contact him, Tom finally agreed to meet detectives in early August 2021 to submit a DNA sample, but failed to do so. On September 29, 2021, police obtained a warrant for his arrest. Tom was tracked to his daughter's apartment in Fort Myers, Florida. Officers attempted to serve the warrant on October 6, 2021, but Tom killed himself with a gunshot to his head before he could be arrested. Investigators determined that Thomas is the likely perpetrator of the crime and have closed the case. On December 8, 2020, 21-year-old Grace Coleman received a ride home from a friend from a bar she had been drinking at. Once her friend pulled away, Grace got into her black Range Rover and was headed to Newport Beach with a blood alcohol level that was later measured to be 0.22%, which was nearly 3 times the legal limit. Grace's SUV ran a red light at 75 miles per hour and slammed into a Nissan Versa driven by a family that was out for a night of looking at Christmas lights. 27-year-old Henry Saldana and his 28-year-old wife Gabriella were killed instantly in the collision. Their 3 daughters, ages 1, 3, and 5, were dressed in their Christmas pajamas and were hospitalized with broken limbs. Grace got out of her car and ran away past the girls' cries for help, but was apprehended before she could fully escape the scene. She was charged with a felony DUI, which added a second-degree murder charge for the crash because of a prior DUI just 3 months before this one happened. Grace was facing 42 years to life in prison if convicted by a jury, so she elected to take a plea and admit to her guilt for a reduced sentence of 21 years to life. On January 1, 2008, 24-year-old Meredith Emerson disappeared while hiking with her dog in Georgia's Vogel State Park. Witnesses reported seeing a suspicious older man with a dog following her. Days later, her car was discovered, followed by the discovery of her dog in a grocery store parking lot. On January 5th, Meredith's belongings, including blood-stained clothes, a wallet, her driver's license, and a bloody seatbelt, were found in a dumpster near a convenience store in Cumming, Georgia. The man who had been seen following Meredith was identified as 61-year-old Gary Hilton, and he was arrested after anonymous tips led the police to the items in the dumpster. Initially charged with kidnapping, Gary's charges were upgraded to murder when police matched the seatbelt from the dumpster to his 2001 Chevy Astrovan. In a deal to avoid the death penalty, Hilton revealed the location of Meredith's body to investigators. Police found her decapitated body in the Dawson Forest Management area. Gary pleaded guilty to Emerson's murder and was sentenced to life in prison. He claimed he abducted her to steal her bank cards and killed her with a tire iron. Gary Hilton was eventually convicted of 3 more murders and became known as the National Forest Serial Killer. On September 20, 2010, Robert Grigolitis asked 51-year-old real estate agent Andrew VonStein to show him a house on Woodway Drive in Kent, Ohio. Upon Andrew's arrival, Robert shot and killed him in the basement of the home. A concerned neighbor later reported hearing a popping sound from the house around 5:30 p.m. Robert's actions were apparently fueled by a deep-seated resentment stemming from a failed real estate deal with Andrew 10 years prior. The following morning, Andrew's wife called the police at 3 a.m. and told them he was missing. They found his car on Woodway Drive and discovered his body in the basement of the house. Andrew had left a note in his car with Robert Grigolitis' name on it, and an alert was soon issued looking for him. At the same time, Robert called his wife to say he was going to kill himself in North Carolina. She immediately called the police, who then arrested Robert at a rest stop near Turkey, North Carolina. The murder weapon was in his pocket. To avoid the death penalty, Robert Grigolitis pleaded guilty to aggravated murder and was sentenced to life in prison.